depends on what your beliefs are. Iba-iba lang tayo ng priorities kasi, pero pwedeng kahit nga ngayon pwedeng may nakita ka lang na isang bagay, pwede mo nang i-text at saka i-submit sa social media, which means yung nagiging profession lang siya pag talagang pumasok ka na doon sa industry. Pero ang dami-dami na nagke-claim ng ganyan. So kumbaga, I can be a journalist as John Arcilla, and then my name will be a different name like Sisoy in a particular film. So kumbaga yung preparation kung paano magiging journalist, hindi ko siya masyadong naging problema. Ang binantayan ko is sinundan ko lang yung narrative ng movie, at saka iniligay ko yung requirement kung anong klaseng character meron si Sisoy bilang isang mamamahayag. Because honestly speaking, this is the first time I'm playing a journalist, but I've been loving to be a journalist since, because I was a mass comm graduate, so isa talaga sa parang mga pangarap ko before is maging isa sigurong journalist, no, or media practitioner. In a way, para din naman kaming media practitioners as actors. So parang kumbaga ang industry lang niya is mayroon lang siyang konting segregation sa ating industry, but it's all industry about communication, about selling an idea or telling something to your audience. Ang kaibahan lang ng journalist, meron kang pinanggagalingan na ito ba ay katotohanan, ito ba ay realidad, at ito ba ay fair, no? So malinaw naman kasi from the very beginning na yung istorya ay tungkol sa nangyayari sa ating lipunan, no? And it is not actually very unique to the Philippines, kasi if you're going to look at it, halos lahat naman ng society may kanya-kanyang klase ng crime, may kanya-kanyang klase ng corruption. Iba-iba lang bawat bansa. Kung first world countries yan, mas sophisticated ang paggawa nila ng krimen. Pag mga third world countries like us, masyadong palasak, masyadong bulgar at walang kahihiyan, no? ang paggawa ng krimen minsan kahit nanggagaling na sa mismong mga powerful people or mga people in position, mas garapalan. Pag sa mga first world countries, napapadaan pa nila sa batas, kunyari yung corruption. So napakalinaw nun, and then babad na tayo sa ganun kahit pangkaraniwang tao pa lamang tayo. So kaya para sa akin, yung preparation ko dun sa role is ready na akong gawin, kasi babad na tayo sa klase ng corruption at crime dito sa bansa natin, and alam natin kung gaano ka-gritty yung klase ng krimen dito sa atin. So and I enjoy kasi playing with my voice, kasi I'm also a voice actor. I also studied voice in theater. In music naman, my teacher was Ryan Kayod. So I love playing with voice. So ganoon naman yung isa sa mga requirements. Ang ano lang siguro, ang talagang may preparation is ano yung character, ano yung twist and turns ng character ko as Sisoy, para mapanindigan ko yung aking principle as journalist. Kasi kung tutuusin, lahat naman ng klase ng journalists may iba't ibang prinsipyo at priorities. Like halimbawa si Sisoy is actually a journalist from a little town. He is not a media person from the city, from the main
local journalist siya, diba?
Local lang siya. Kaya nakakatuwa kasi kumbaga siya yung mas prone para mag-idolize ng tao. Medyo conservative at medyo backward yung kanyang yung kanyang pag-idolize ng tao. And yet, yung kanya naman kasing pagiging conservative at pagiging idealistic, yun din naman yung nag-push sa kanya para to move forward, para panindigan yung nakita niyang corruption, kahit at stake na yung kanyang relationship with the person who instigated the crime, which is supposed to be his his mentor. Well, yun nga ang sabi ko, you know what, it's been happening since I was young, no? I had 8 presidents na sa aking timeline, no? Since I was young hanggang ngayon. And parang yung crime at saka yung corruption is, habang tumatanda ako, lalong nakikita ko yung kanyang yung pag-bloom niya, no? Saka parang pagaling ng pagaling yung mga yung mga taong gumagawa sa dati-rati pag manunod ka ng pelikula, good and bad lang yung nakikita mo. May bad boy kaya may masamang nangyayari, may good boy kaya may maganda. But now makikita mo sa totoong buhay, ultimo pala mga taong inaasahan mong who's supposed to make your life better as a Filipino. Sila rin pala yung mas merong pang mismong ginagawa na para mahirapan yung kanyang mamamayan. Well, yun, nakakalungkot kasi sabi ko nga, pag napanood natin ng ganitong klaseng pelikula at binuksan lang natin yung mata natin doon sa sinehan or doon sa screen, pero hindi natin binuksan sa paligid natin, sa realidad, this will not just stay, but this will worsen. So we have to be aware of that as audiences. No? Parang, pababayaan na lang ba natin? This is not just a film. I mean, we're trying to tell a story of us Filipinos, and I think it is a cue for us what to do next. Because if we're just going to think of this story as one of those fiction stories, no, it's not. Because whether we like it or not, what we will be seeing is actually happening in real life. And if we're not going to do anything about this will not just stay again, but this will worsen. So we really have to think twice and to be brave as people, and maybe we have to talk about it and hold hands together and do something about it.
We felt
pag pumuna ka, mayroong kakagad color, either dilawan ka, pulahan ka, o ikaw komunista. Samantalang nagpumupuna ka lang dahil tinatanong mo kung saan napupunta yung binabayaran mong tax, kasi supposedly yung mga mamamayan maayos ang kanilang buhay dahil may tax ka namang binabayaran at may mga inutang supposedly na pera. Bakit ang mamamayan natin natatakot pa rin at hindi pa rin sila confident sa nangyayari sa paligid, samantalang dapat may budget para sa kanila, and yet sa gitna ng ganung pangyayari may mababalitaan kang may mga corruption na ang pinag-uusapan billion, hindi lang million. So parang it is totally a social injustice pag kung totoong nangyayari yun, para namang sa gitna ba naman ng ganito, iti-take advantage pa yung ganun. Ang dami nang namamatay. Sobra. So, good afternoon to everyone, and I'm so happy that you're here and so interested to know something about OTJ2. Of course, I'm sure you've seen OTJ1, and I'm pretty sure that OTJ2 is not the kind of sequel that you think that it is just a sequel, but this film is offering something maybe as powerful, if not more, than with the first one. I guess so. And I just want to reiterate that this is not an advocacy film, actually. I mean, we are just telling a story. I mean, Eric Mati is telling a story about what's going on. Kasi ano lang naman to, inspired by true events. Pero kumbaga hindi siya advocacy film. Nagkataon lang na siguro pag tatanong tayo tungkol sa interpretations or tungkol sa gusto nating mangyari sa ating bansa, nagkakaroon lang tayo ng konting sagot na ganun kasi the film is about what is about our country. It's about the Philippine society.
All right. Thanks, Sir John. And then
ng Philippine cinema.
Ng Philippine cinema, tapos yung development ng characters that we do. Well, it's a combination of excitement, fun, and of course honor, no? Kasi this is going to be actually this is not the first time naman na we had a Venice entry, di ba? I think nanalo na sila Diaz sa Venice International Film Festival. Ang nakaka-proud lang dito kasi this is going to be the first in HBO. At nakaka-proud din of course definitely yung sa Venice, no. This is my first Venice actually kasi ang dami ko na rin naman na movie ko, siguro mga 8 to 7 movies ko na rin pumunta na sa iba't ibang may nanalo ako sa Berlin, meron ng sa Toronto, TIFF, meron sa Busan. I was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the British Independent Film Awards. Some of my films were actually represented the Philippines to the Oscars and to BAFTA. So ganyan. dumarating din yung, modesty aside, dumarating din yung point na parang sanay na rin tayo kasi ang dami na nating mga pelikula. Hindi lang ako, ang dami na ng pelikulang Pilipino na talagang sobrang kilala ng ang Philippine films, no? Philippine films sa international festivals. Kaya kumbaga it only proves that kasi isa sa pinaka matandang filmmaking Pilipinas din eh. As early as 1901 may pelikula na sa Pilipinas. Isa din tayo sa mga pinakaunang gumawa ng magagandang pelikula. Nagkaroon lang talaga ng mga era, no, na nagkaroon ng era na hindi masyado magaganda yung pelikula. Mayroong era na mas mga classic, may era ng mga nung 70s, yung mga tungkol sa mga social crisis, tungkol sa mga social injustice, and parang bumabalik-balik ulit siya ngayon. Pero from time to time naman kasi talaga, mabenta sa ibang bansa yung mga pelikulang nakikita nila kung ano yung kultura natin at kung ano nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Siguro sa lahat ng aking mga since 1986, 87, most of my films were actually discussing things about our social evils, no, in the Philippines. Although hindi naman kasi lahat ng mga directors, hindi naman lahat ng mga festivals ay nagbabank doon kasi mayroon tayong tinatawag nga na parang poverty porn, ano, parang masyado naman na iba nating binebenta yung ating yung kahirapan. Hindi rin naman ganoon. I mean, whether we like it or not, the film was artistically done. That's why it's being appreciated all over the globe in international festivals. Hindi lang siya simpleng ganoon. Kaya kumbaga, meron talaga siyang pinupunto. Meron siyang content na maganda, interesting at the same time, very artistic. It was told in a very cinematic and artistic way. Hindi lang siya simpleng parang poverty porn. Siguro ang matagal nang nag-mature ang pelikulang Pilipino, it is the Filipino audience who are not actually just slowly catching up. Pero when it comes to halimbawa noon kasi black and white lang talaga ang kontrabida at bida no, sa mga teleserye. Siguro a decade ago na-accept na ng mga Filipino audience ng mainstream na ang gray characters meron ng natatanggap na nila yung bida na nagkakamali and then nagbabago, natatanggap na nila yung mga kontrabidang umiiyak and then somehow they sympathize with the villain, and suddenly you can actually communicate already, no, that this villains turned into that kind of person because of his past or of that character's past. Noon hindi pa ready ang mga ganun na mga ang ating audience diyan. So medyo umangat na yan ang audience natin pagdating dun sa ganung klaseng pagtingin sa characters. Pero ang pelikula natin matagal nang sumusubok ng mga ganyang klaseng quality of stories and characters. Kaya lang when it comes to popularity and salability and marketability, sometimes if you want to be patronized by a lot of audience, of wide range of audience, sometimes you also try to get the formula, no, parang you mix it with the formula para lang somehow makuha mo rin yung sympathy at saka yung interest ng audience na hindi masyadong mahilig doon sa mga social realities, doon sa mga tinatawag nila na intelligent films, pero actually hindi naman kasi once kasi na may ginawa tayo mga independent films ang nagiging kagad connotation ng majority of the audience, especially the mainstream audience, is pang matalino, mahirap intindihan, but actually it's not. Hindi talaga. Yung perception lang ang dapat baguhin siguro ng audience natin. In fact, pero dumadami na rin, especially the audience these days, yung mga millennials. Marami na rin silang sinusubok ng mga iba't ibang klaseng pelikula dahil din sa mga iba't ibang platforms na kagaya ng sa Netflix, the HBO. So nagiging open na rin ang audience. And then somehow sana magtuloy-tuloy para yung mga ganitong klaseng pelikula ay talagang ipatronize din ng mas maraming mainstream audience.
Well said po.
Meron kasi sa aking itinuro yung isang mentor ko si Lauren Jogi was actually a friend and a mentor of mine. Sabi niya, you do projects because of friendship, because of prestige, because of money. It is lucky for you as an actor to have those three in one project. Friendship, prestige, and money. Sometimes you do it for a friend. Even if you don't really like the idea, but you do it for a friend. And you know what will I do? Hahanapan ko yun ng isang interesting, because whether we like it or not, may isang interesting na bagay doon sa character ko or sa story na yon, which I can expand and explore. And I'm going to embrace that and share it to that friend, that maybe we can do this. Maybe I can do that. And then successfully, medyo I mean successfully nangyayari naman. Meron lang para sa money, no? Pero never pa yata ako nagkaroon ng ganung project na na parang sabi ko, sige na nga lang, parang sa ano na lang to, pera-pera na lang. Luckily wala pa naman sa aking nabigay na project na para sa ganun lang. Mostly ganun eh. Yung tatlong yun yung combination. Kaya siguro lucky ako kasi mostly ang nagagawa kong project laging ganun. Kaibigan mo yung mga tao, maganda yung prestige, at saka okay naman yung fee. Minsan yung fee nga wala pa eh. Minsan yung fee ang mas ano mo, medyo na nasa sacrifice. Mas laging dumadating pa yung prestige and friendship. Pero these days since General Luna, yung money lumalaban na rin talaga. Yung fund. Hindi na pwedeng yung parang lagi na lang na parang kang tinatawaran. So I'm so happy for that. I'm really so happy to tell you na ang mismong producer din naman is parang aware of that, na we are not just doing something here. I mean, since you think that I can actually do the requirements, so somehow sila na yung nag-o-offer, hindi na ako namimilit or naghahagad. Lagi naman ganon, laging may kalahati. Laging may kalahati na nagawa ko na ba yung tama at nagawa ko. Laging pumapasok yan. Even in all the films that I've done, looking back, sayang ginawa ko yan. Hindi totally sa isang pelikula na masasabing, hindi ako magaling doon. Magaling ako dito. Hindi yun eh. Minsan makikita mo, sometimes per scene, or sometimes a certain part of the scene. I should have done that. Parang, sayang, parang kulang yun. Bakit di ko naisip na gawin yun? Laging may ganun. Lagi. It's a constant thing for me.
Nakaka-curious lang po, hindi kasi syempre alam namin kung gaano kayo kagaling na aktor, di ba?
Ang dami pa. Gusto ko naman kasi talagang maging global actor, no? I mean, gusto kong makagawa ng mga film sa iba't ibang bansa. Siguro na kumbaga parang makita yung global positioning ng Filipino sa world scene, no? Kasi whether we like it or not, malaki na rin naman ang ating kumbaga role, no, sa pag-evolve ng mundo. I mean, bilang ang nakakalat ng Pilipino sa buong panahon pa lang ni Rizal, no, as early as 18th century, we are all over the globe, and we are actually showing the things that the Filipinos can do. So yung role ng Filipinos sa world and global communities are also significant na. So kung merong mga roles sa iba't ibang bansa with some significant characters for Filipino, no, bilang lalo na lagi naman tayong kasama pag sa as OFW, or hindi lang as OFW, marami na rin mga kilala sa New York, isa sa pinakamagaling na doktor ay Filipino, and they recognize that. So ang laki na ng role ng Filipino sa world societies and sa global communities. So gusto kong ma-hit need na yon or yung niche na yon para makagawa ng mga project globally. Ganun. So, and siyempre, kikipa rin natin yung klase ng standard na gusto nating mangyari para naman, well, hindi naman siguro din nga tayo makakagawa ng project na ganun if they think I cannot submit or I cannot do the requirement. Filipino films have been traveling all over the globe since the 1986. One of my first film projects where I won Best Actor in 1986. 1986. Imagine that 1986. Traveled around Southeast Asia. I represented Southeast Asia, the Philippines to Southeast Asia, Southeast Asian festivals, film festivals. That was 1986. So kumbaga, although iba nga itong Venice kasi is the oldest and one of the most, if not the most prestigious film festivals. So, wow, kasi the fact na nare-recognize na tayo sa ganung sa biggest four, no? And dun sa pinaka-oldest film festivals, that means yung standard ng filmmaking natin hindi na iba sa kanila. It's already welcomed in the world standard, no? World class na. Kasi nandiyan na, nasa main competition na, hindi guest ka lang main competition na. So and HBO, yes, thank you so much kasi napaka-wide ng reach talaga ng HBO. And that means ready na talaga tayo sa global audience. Aside from the fact kasi na siguro, modesty aside, talagang aside from the things that we can say, maybe our filmmakers are really good. So kasi hindi naman kasi siguro mag-take chance ang HBO to get a certain film kung tingin nila is it won't give back some accounts, no, for them. So parang ganun. It's just a proof that we are already there.
Right. Yeah, right.
And I'm so happy and I'm so honored that I'm part of these kinds of films.
Ganda. My last question po, Sir John. You mentioned kanina na yung nga, we have to be aware or oriented sa mga characters na hindi lang black and white. Meron talagang gray characters. What do you want the viewers to learn from your character here, si Sisoy? Anong gusto mong take away nila after watching the movie from Sisoy?
That there are some journalists or media people who are not so aware of their real role as in society, that they have to introspect from time to time, regularly, that they have to self-regulate from time to time or regularly, because whether we like it or not, sometimes we don't know to whom are we really working for. Kasi hindi natin alam, baka ginagamit na pala tayo ng isang grupo ng organization, isang tao, isang powerful na tao, and yet yung ideals kasi natin as a human being, as a human being, as a citizen of a certain society, of a certain country, akala natin dinadala nung isa nating mentor o ina-idolize na tao, yung pala malayo na pala tayo mismo dun sa mismong tao, because we're supposed to be actually serving the people as journalists, and we have to be fair. And yet nagiging na pala tayo, nagiging bias na pala tayo, akala natin may silbahan natin tao, hindi na pala. But at the same time, kailangan pa rin natin mag-introspect, especially now. Alam mo kung bakit? Alam mo yung sensationalism ever since isa yan sa part na practice ng media. Because we want to get the attention. We want to get the attention of the audience, of the massa, of the listener, of the mainstream. And sometimes, because of that competition, para pumunta sa'yo, minsan nasa-sensationalized yung mga bagay-bagay. And whether we like it or not, it actually changed the truth. nababago niya ang katotohanan. So nakakatakot 'yon kasi baka iba yung public opinion na ating maibigay pag sensationalized yung ating issues.
Yes.
Pero ano yun part yun ng journalism lagi para nga makuha mo ng attention. Kaya napaka-delicate ng idea na yun Dapat pag-aralan talaga yan ng pag-usapan yan ng media.
Mhm.
As in, dapat pag-usapan ng media. So, bilang si Sisoy,
Mhm.
kahit naman papaano, yung kanyang idealism, yun din yung nag-save sa kanya when he discovered na mali na pala yung kanyang position. And he has to pursue with his beliefs, with his principles, as a fair journalist, as an advocate of free press and of justice and truth. Kahit maging at stake na yung kaniyang relationship dun sa kanyang mentor, itinuloy pa rin niya yung kanyang pag-search ng truth and justice kasi yun din naman talaga yung idealism niya. Sana lang maging careful tayo bilang media person kung saan natin dinadala yung prinsipyo natin at yung kung paano natin ginagamit yung technique ng sensationalism kasi baka iyon ang makasira sa public opinion or mailiko natin ng konti yung katotohanan because of that. It's such a very delicate, it's such a very napaka-meticulosong usapin sa larangan ng media and journalism. Kasi pag masyado ka namang naging factual lang, wala ka namang audience
Right.
O sige, factual ka lang, okay, ka lang, fair ka lang, wala ka namang reader. Pero ang hirap din i-balance, di ba? So, dapat talaga mag-usap ang lahat. Kasi if you will realize, sinisisi ng media sa mga nangyayari sa
Sir John, parang inaral
social
niyo
media.
talaga yung culture ng journalism. Kuwang-kuha
Di ba?
niya.
Ay, ang hirap, di ba?
Yeah. Sir John, ano na lang po additional question on a personal note lang. Kamusta ka lang po ngayong pandemic? Because yun nga, may nagpapatanong na phone-in question na yun nga, parang you've experienced several losses in the family ngayong pandemic. How are you coping na? How are you holding up? Kamusta po?
Ang bigat, masakit. Mabigat, masakit nilalabanan ko. My father died within this pandemic. It's not COVID. My second brother died because of diabetes, but it was actually, I think, aggravated because of his parang weak immune system. I think na-acquire niya yung COVID. So it turned into COVID again. But actually, it's more on diabetes kasi he's been suffering for diabetes for several years now, siguro 5 to 7 years na. Yung sister ko ang medyo wala kami talagang kaalam-alam, yung bunso kong kapatid. So ayoko sanang manisin ng tao, kaya lang my sister kasi was so afraid to take a swab kasi ayaw niyang malaman kung positive siya because there are a lot of talkings about facilities. And I understand her kasi ang dami-dami mga negative na mga sinasabi sa facilities, nagugutom ka lang, wala kang makain, wala kang tas wala. Yung napaka-miserable ng buhay, so takot na takot siya doon. So sabi ko magpa-hospital ka na lang, sabi ko sa kanya. Ayaw din niya ng hospital kasi punuan, yung mismong hospital halos wala ka nang malagyan. So parang natatakot siya na sabi niya doon pa ako gumrabe, doon pa ako mamatay. Mas gusto ko na lang dito kasi kasama ko yung mga anak ko. Na wala kaming magawa, wala akong magawa to force her because I'm not beside her. I'm here in Ilocos. She's in Manila. And then that thing happened. And after that, it was being aggravated. And when she reached the hospital, ayun na. So nasa puso niya na. And then naging sabi ang finding then is na nagka-COVID din pala siya. This is my thing is this. Habang ang lahat ng tao ay natatakot at nawawalan ng pag-asa, nawawalan ng tiwala sa facilities at saka sa mga hospitals, merong kang mababalitaan na mga nawawalang bilyon-bilyon na dapat sana ay iginawa ng facilities na mayroong magandang procedure, itinayo ng hospital at bumili ng gamot para sa mga ganitong klaseng tao para lumakas ang confidence sa mga nagkakasakit. Bigla ka makabalita ng mga nawawalang bilyon-bilyon. I felt that the death of my sister, particularly itong last na to, is part of the social injustice. I think she's a victim of social injustice. Ayoko sanang lagyan ito ng ganitong klaseng ano, pero yung takot na tao, paano na ako? Ang kapatid ko, mayroon akong pang-hospital sa kanya. Pero natatakot siya magpunta sa hospital. Paano na yung walang pang-hospital? Na ganun lang magtitiis na lang. Why? Nawalan na sila ng trust kung saan sila pupunta. And it's so sad and it's so painful. And then there these people, may nawawalang bilyon-bilyon na binili mo na sana ng gamot sa mga tao to. Itinayo mo na ng facilities na magandang procedures. Tayo na ng mga hospitals. Parang may puntahan yung takot ng mga tao. So parang I felt people like her are victims of social injustice. I'm sorry for my sister. I love her so much. Ayaw kong i-drag yung pangalan niya dun sa ganitong klaseng ng mga social injustice. Pero nakakalungkot kasi yung may nangyayaring ganyan. Tapos may mga ganun. Bakit?
Sorry for your loss po.
Well, so right now, yan lang ang panalangin ko. Gusto ko na rin putulin yung culture of hate. Mas gusto ko na lang, sabi nga nila, don't wish them bad, wish them consciousness. So I'm praying for those people, kung sino man talaga yung gumagawa ng mga ganito na mga inaasahan mo supposedly, sana magising na sila, sana i-touch sila ng Diyos, sana makonsensya sila sa ginagawa nila. Alang-alang sa bayan natin, alang-alang sa mga Pilipino. Kasi sobra na. Sobra sana magising sila. Diyos ko, Panginoon ko, touch their hearts. Make them change. Diba? Para naman. I mean, itindig muna natin itong ating bayan. Tulungan muna natin ang ating mga mamamayan. Kung hindi kayo maawat, pwede ba balikan nyo na lang yan after ng pandemic, yung fascination natin to accumulate a lot of money and properties na galing kung saan yung pera.
Opo.
Thank
I'm also asking for your prayers to make me stronger kasi
Yes po.
ang hirap talaga. So right now I'm doing a lot of things just to ease my pain, no?
Mhm.
And then I'm praying to God na mabitbit naman ng maayos na. Sabi ko nga sa kapatid ko, kasi masayahin yung kapatid ko eh. Sabi ko,
Yes,
Ted, ikaw nang bahala sa akin. Pasayahin mo ako, alisin mo itong mabigat na to kasi masayahin ka. Tulungan mo ako kahit para sa akin napaka-timely ng pag-alis mo and you're still young. And who knows, baka naman talagang, sabi ko rin, ayaw ko din namang manghusga, baka naman handa na rin siya. Hindi ko lang alam, baka prepared na siya. Pero ang sabi ko lang sa kanya, dahil siyempre nakakabigla pa rin, just make us feel happy and contented and peaceful and iano mo kami, pasayahin mo kami na kahit wala ka na sa tabi namin. Well, I realized when we were actually interviewed by some media group then 2 days ago, I just realized that Eric Mati is not considering this film as an advocacy film, and I'm so happy for that because I don't want to do an advocacy film. I mean, it won't be premiered in festival if it's an advocacy film. Maybe it's going to be somewhere else. So and I'm happy for that. We're just telling a story inspired by true events from our society, from the Philippines, and it is not unique in the Philippines. Sabi ko nga, it's happening all over the globe in different societies. It just depends on the situation of your country, if he belongs to the third world communities or to the first world countries. Kasi it depends on how sophisticated and how gritty yung
Mhm.
pag-handle ng crime and ng corruption, hindi ba? Kung saan nanggaling yung bansa mo. And he's just telling a story. It has just happened that it's about corruption and crime na nangyayari sa ating bansa. And whether we like it or not, as an audience, you can see yourself, and you can see, even if you belong to a certain to a different country and with different culture, parang marirealize mo, oh God, it's happening even in the smallest country in the world, you know. So you can actually relate, and then even you as a Filipino, parang nandito na ba tayo, and then kailan hihinto ito?
Mhm.
No, but there are some audience na ang tingin nila doon is just reality, and then it's just a story, and then they won't even feel obligated to do something about it. And I think I must say na okay pa rin yun. Okay din lang yun. Pareho siyang okay kung ang maging effect sa kanya ng isang audience ay isang magandang pelikula tungkol sa corruption at crime. Pwede rin maganda rin kung yung mga nanonood is the film will parang encourage them to talk about the crisis in their country and to do something about it. In fact, mas gusto ko sanang ganun kasi kung paulit-ulit na lang natin kinukwento and then wala naman nangyayari, ano nang ibig sabihin, ang relevant films pala ay hindi masaya kung hindi nakakalungkot kasi paulit-ulit nangyayari. Hindi naman tayo na-liberate from it. Parang nakakalungkot naman, parang ganun. And it will also encourage people to do some changes in what we are actually suffering from right now as social beings.
Well, actually,
Filipino or as a global audience?
as a global audience, as a Filipino,
because it was beautifully made and it was beautifully crafted. It was told in a very powerful and excellent way by one of the best directors in this country, and doing films, which is now considered world class because it's been welcomed by one of just festivals in the world. So and I think, sabi ko nga nung una, yung General Luna defines us as Filipinos. This particular film, OTJ2, will also answer us, where are we now as a nation since then? Since then, in 1889, 1898, that we were defined by this particular film, General Luna, that this is the reason why we are like this as Filipino people, as global citizens. But this OTJ will now answer you, where are we now as a nation since 100 years ago or so? I think it's in the storytelling. Ang laki talaga, Nikki, ang laki ng role ng director sa storytelling. Kasi pareho lang na crime at corruption yan kung iisipin mo. Pero paano diniscuss nung shots? Paano yung sequences ng events, kung paano yun yung power ng isang ng isang pelikula, yung storytelling. Paano mo convince yung tao na, oh wow, ganun pala yun. Kasi kung hindi mo siya naikwento ng tama, ng eksakto dun sa gusto mong mangyari, wala siyang power at all. I don't think he will be noticed by any festivals or by film buffs or mga film luminaries, no? So I think yun ang isang power nung OTJ2. And bilib ako pagdating sa ganyan kay Eric Mati kasi he has this gamut of crisis in his mind, no? That every time he's doing a film, it's always something fresh and different, and even the angles of the cameras are composed according to a certain story, according to a certain sequence. Hindi na uulit. Alam mo yung nakikita ko siya pag nagtatrabaho, ibang-iba yung composition niya ng shot doon sa ginawa kong ibang pelikula sa kanya. Parang every now and then meron siyang dinidiscover na bago. And it is how you want to tell a particular scene and a particular factor, a particular angle of a story, so that it will be more effective, understandable, and powerful. And I think yun yung nagagawa ni Eric Mati, kaya nagiging powerful yung pelikula niya. At kaya napansin ng mundo, or napansin ng isang prestigious, isa sa pinaka-prestigious at pinaka-oldest film festival sa mundo. Actually, si Andrea kasi is a very effective actress. You know what? We didn't even try to work on it. We just gelled. No, and I think those magical moments are very important to actors, no? Kasi you don't need to push it; it's just happened. And I think it's also because that I think she's just a very effective and a good actress, very instinctive. And I think it's one of the most beautiful faces and the most effective young actresses we have today. She's actually, I think, a superstar in the making. I mean, her kind of aura, her kind of her talent. Yeah, that's it. And what else? Yeah, that's exactly that. That's the way we had our scenes together. Wala naman kasi I've been taking kasi workshops since I was young. When I started, I've been using since PETA during the 80s, mga Stanislavski, and then when I became a scholar of the Actors Workshop Foundation, I used the being of Eric Morris. And then when I became a scholar of the Cultural Center of the Philippines as one of their senior actors, as member of the Actors Company, napaghalo ko yung dalawa. And yet, very, very, kumbaga, hindi naman strict. Pero ang aming technique talaga mostly sa is Stanislavski sa CCP, especially kay sa mentor ko, sa theater mentor ko and acting mentor ko si Nonon Padilla. So hindi ko na siya ginagamit as it is kasi dumarating yung point, no, siguro sa akin din yun, kahit sa estudyante ko sinasabi ko yun. There will come a time that you have to have your own voice. That everything you have used are already just there for you to get if you need it, but it's about time for you to discover your own theory, because there are a lot of theories that are not actually effective to you. You just have tried it and it worked, but sometimes it doesn't. So you just have to throw away, and it doesn't mean that the technique you have thrown away is not effective. It may be effective to another actor, but not to me. And when I discovered this phrase from an acting book, that you are 1,000 times better than the best actor you want to be, na-realize ko na, yes, that is true, because even if I want to be a Robert De Niro of the Philippines, or a Robert, it won't happen because I am John Arcilla, and I will get all my sources from where I started as a person. I have my own little universe, and I have my own bigger universe when I grew up. So definitely, I have a lot of resources from me that I cannot get from Robert De Niro's. So maybe I can be a better John Arcilla, and I can be a far more better actor than I think I can. Kasi ang kailangan ko lang pala is i-dig yung sarili ko and to dig my own resources. So ganun pala yan. So sabi ko, kahit sa estudyante ko, there are certain projects na bagay ito, but there are certain projects, and within that project, you can actually discover your own technique where to get the resources of those requirements. It depends sometimes on every other project.
Yes. Thank you.
I think of Sisoy's character has to evolve, has not evolved yet fully as Sisoy, because it ended from a particular moment that he is about to bloom into another persona. Flaw. I think he is not an intellectual, but he's a very intelligent person. But he got the intelligence from being a street smart, no?
Mhm.
An innate intellect of a person who is above the average. That's why he's one of the stars, radio stars of a small town. He's actually a small town superstar, but he's not a big star like in the mainstream, no, in the center, like dito sa Manila. Hindi siya yung ganon. And I think his idealism, which made him prone to idolize people, is the same idealism that made him push through with the injustice and the crimes he have discovered.
Mhm.
And flaw for me is something that is curable in anyone. I mean, not just for Sisoy, but for you and me. These flaws are curable. And I mean, as we grow, as we approach different moments in our lives, and that is actually what's happening to him. He is a character in development,
Mhm.
just like you and me. So hindi ko pa, I haven't seen the flaw yet. It's more on he is still evolving as the Sisoy that he has to be.
You mentioned a little bit earlier that his idealisms have actually saved him.
Yeah.
Where do you think his character should be headed if there's like another installment of ODJ?
Yeah. I think he has to discover that what the circumstances that actually made him a victim is not just a coincidence.
Mhm.
It is actually brought by a bigger crisis, which is actually happening not just in his little town, but actually in a bigger scale in the world societies, so that he will not just fight for truth because he wants to find justice for his friends. What he has to grow for is that injustice is actually happening all over Manila, all over the Philippines, and all over the globe. He has
Although-
to evolve from that person, thinking from above, not just thinking from within. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. That's how he should grow into. He should develop into. And it will well maybe that's my interpretation of Sisoy, but I think Eric Mati has another interpretation of Sisoy, of what will Sisoy be.
Mhm.
Now, but since it ended from a time that he has to, he's still in this old Sisoy who's about to bloom. We don't know what will happen to him yet. What I'm telling you is my version of Sisoy. I don't know what will be Eric Mati's version of Sisoy after several seasons. But for me, he has to evolve into a bigger Sisoy who can look at social injustice, who can see that the social injustice is not just happening within his small circle, but it's actually happening all over the globe.
All right. Judging from, of course, the series itself, it discusses
Come again.
social it discusses social injustices and social norms, things that are happening in the country. How difficult was it to separate it from being an art form and also having it be a little political in a sense?
I think well, just like what it depends on the directors, on the filmmakers' intention.
Mhm.
I was so happy when Eric Mati said that it is never an advocacy film for him. He's just telling a story about crime and injustice. So he's not trying to move to tell people, okay, we have to go to the streets and fight. No,
Mhm.
he's not actually. He's just telling stories about these people who were actually victims of this and victims of that. He's actually telling stories of why this the killer turned into a killer, but he's actually a mama's boy. So he is so happy discovering these kinds of people and how they are as human beings. That's just how that's just what Eric Matis' intention is. Not really to pull everyone to go to the streets and have some people actions or some mass actions. And I'm happy for that because I also don't want to make this particular film an advocacy film. But if it will touch some people's sensibilities to talk about it and maybe to do some actions and do something about these injustices happening within our society, well, good. It's good. But it is not actually the main reason why it is created. It was mounted. He's just telling a story of injustices and crimes happening in a certain country from Asia. And I think it made powerful because of the way he told the story. And we cannot actually, of course, we cannot actually parang separate every other person from his from the how do we call it, from the inclination of politics in his life. No, there's always religion involved, there's always politics involved when you talk about people. So it's just happened that it is about injustice and crime. So whether we like it or not, matatouch talaga yung mga involved na tao na ayaw nating i-involve. And bahala na siguro yung it is now, it depends on the audience now. It now depends on the audience's orientation on how they will react to this particular genre.
And whether it or not it ruffled feathers, it's not the main reason why you made it.
It's not the main. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,